I am Dr. Hanuman Prasad, Dundigal. I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of Chemistry at IARE. Today I am going to continue the discussion on gender and biology. And the contents in today's session are social construction of sexuality, that in the earlier session discussed about the case study. Today I will discuss the conclusion of the case study, and sexuality, next diversity, next pain and pleasure, next fluid and changeable, and finally references. So let's look at one by one. First one is social construction of sexuality. So let us reflect upon the following. Actually, in the last session I have discussed the case study of Anupama. So today we will see some of the conclusions from that. It is commonly held that taste of food or taste in food is biological, natural, instinctual and fixed. So what can you understand from this statement? It is commonly held that taste in food is biological, natural, instinctual. Instinctual means it is based on the instinct. So it is also one meaning of natural. And the taste in food is also fixed. So we are describing about the taste in food. It is biological, natural, instinctual and fixed. So the taste will be same, whoever tastes. So for example, if it is sweet in taste, if I taste, you taste or somebody tastes, sweet will be sweet only. So that is why it is fixed. And having read Anupama's story, would you agree or disagree? And why? So I hope you all remember what is Anupama's story. Anupama loves food and she was restricted to take non-vegetarian food in home because she is a female. But her two brothers and father used to have it. And when she got a job in Lucknow, she started eating non-veg with her friend named Pushpa. But they also have different kinds of tastes. Like Pushpa likes tandoori chicken, but Anupama didn't like tandoori chicken. So like that, there was a diversity in their mindset. So, would you agree or disagree? If you agree, why? If you disagree, why not? So, perhaps in your answer, you might agree that taste in food is strongly influenced by gender, caste, class, and religion. And in fact, region. That is, it is socially constructed. So from this statement we can say that taste in food is also socially constructed because taste in food is strongly influenced by gender, caste, class and region. Hence we can conclude that the taste in food is socially constructed. Now the one more conclusion is at home Anupama could not eat meat because of her gender. But her brothers and father could because they men are mates, means they are all men. So they could eat. But because of her female gender, she could not eat non-veg at her home, which was the rule given by her mother. So in the olden times, you know that you people, male only should do these things, female only should do these things. These kind of restrictions were there. So because of that restrictions, she could not take non-veg at home. But later, they might not have been non-vegetarian if they were Brahmins. And in fact, they were non-vegetarian, but they might not have been non-vegetarian if they were Brahmins. So based on caste, people are deciding this caste is coming under vegetarian caste and these castes are coming under non-vegetarian castes. So generally these Brahmins are not under non-vegetarian caste. But nowadays you know that everybody is having non-veg, irrespective of caste, class, gender and any other thing. So that is what is gender sensitization, gender equality. Okay. So let's continue the discussion on the conclusion of case study of Anupama. It was because Anupama shifted to Lucknow that she was exposed to different kinds of cuisine. Cuisine means that regional special cook food, and she could try out different kinds of food. This is only because Anupama shifted to Lucknow for job. Anupama started eating at the age of 25. Also, at first, Anupama was reluctant to even try brain curry and then began loving it. So, what they mean to say here, Anupama started eating meat at the age of 25. And initially, she could not like brain curry, but later she began loving it. Means it became one of her favorite foods. So therefore we can say that Anupama has two characteristics. One is she is diverse. This is because what I love you might hate. What you hate I might love. So this is diversity. So as I said, Anupama didn't like tandoori chicken, whereas her friend Pushpa liked tandoori chicken. So this is diversity. There are many things that Anupama loves to eat. Pushpa loves tandoori chicken, however Anupama doesn't. So that I have discussed already. And the second characteristic of Anupama is that Anupama has positive as well as negative dimensions in such a way that Anupama loves food. It has been a source of enjoyment and discovery for her. So what new food is available at which place and all. We also know that as a girl, Anupama was very upset that she was not allowed to eat meat. So these are the positive and negative dimensions. So positive dimension is that she loves food and she likes to discover wherever good food is available. But negative dimension is that as a girl, she was not allowed to have non-veg at her home. So anyhow, later she went to job to Lucknow and she started eating there. That is a different story. But naturally at her home, she was not allowed to take. So these are the positive as well as negative dimensions of Anupama. Then let's further continue the social construction of sexuality. This was an act of discrimination of that she resented. So this is an act of discrimination, right? So means distinction. So you are male, you are female, you should eat non-veg, but you should not eat non-veg. These things are called discrimination, sexual discrimination or gender discrimination. So she resented. Resented means she got angry on this kind of discrimination. Anupama has experienced food in terms of both an enhancement and reduction of her sense of well-being. Means she has enjoyed in terms of enhancement and reduction of sense of well-being. At some places she became very happy and at some places she became very angry or very sad, as I discussed so far. You might wonder why you are having to read and analyze Anupama's food habits in such detail, or perhaps you have already guessed. So far we are discussing about Anupama's food habits in very much detail, and you might wonder why we are doing all these things in such a detail. So it is because we have some questions. Do you see any similarities between the dimensions that you have explored above and with sexuality? Means the above dimensions whatever I have discussed and sexuality, are there any similarities? Are there any similarities? So the answer is yes, there are. It could well be argued that everything that can be said about taste in food holds true as well for sexuality. So whatever we discussed for taste in food, this holds true for sexuality. So that is the conclusion here. So we are discussing about social construction of sexuality. So how Anupama's story or how Anupama's food interests, all we are connecting with or we are similarizing with sexuality. So that is what we have to understand. So let's replace what we wrote above for taste in food with sexuality and see whether this is indeed so. Means if you replace taste in food by sexuality, then we have to see whether it is matching or not. It will exactly match. Let's see. Sexuality. Sexuality is strongly influenced by gender, caste, class, religion and region. So that is what we have discussed in case of taste in food also. Taste in food is influenced by gender, caste, class, region and religion. So similarly, sexuality is also influenced by all these things. Gender, caste, class, region as well as religion. So both are similar. There are similarities. And sexuality is socially constructed. Like food in taste in food is socially constructed. So we replace taste in food by sexuality. So sexuality is also socially constructed. And sexuality is not fixed but changes and is fluid. Similarly, taste in food is fixed because whoever tastes, it will be same taste. So it is fixed. But here sexuality is not fixed but changes and is fluid. So there is a difference in this case. And sexuality is diverse. Diverse means what I might love, you might hate. Means one person may like it, one person may dislike it. So taste in food is also same. As we discussed already, taste in food is diverse. So one person may like one food, another person may dislike that food. And another person may like one food and you may dislike that food. So this is called diversity. And as taste in food has positive and negative dimensions, sexuality also has positive as well as negative dimensions. So that is how sexuality is similar with taste in food. So that is what is our conclusion from the case study of Anupama, who is a food lover. Let's go to the next content, diversity. What shape our sexual desires, who we are attracted to, and how we attain sexual satisfaction. All these things vary from individual to individual. So what we are expressing here, diversity. Diversity means one person may like one thing, another person may dislike the same thing, and vice versa. So that is what I am explaining here in terms of diversity. What shape our sexual desires, who we are attracted to, and how we attain sexual satisfaction. These all vary from individual to individual. So this concept is diverse, means there is a diversity in this concept. Generally, it is assumed that attraction can only happen between men and women. However, since desire is fluid, attraction can happen between any two individuals. So what is the general assumption? Attraction can only happen between men and women. Is it true? No, it is not, because desire is fluid, means it is not fixed, it is changeable. So attraction can happen between any two individuals, means between men and men or between women and women. So that is what the sentence means. For instance, sexual attraction can happen between two women or between two men. Okay, so sexual attraction can happen between two women or between two men, right? So the general assumption is invalid. General assumption is that sexual attraction can happen only between men and women, but it is not true. It can be between two men or it can be between two women. The forms of desire are varied. So that is what is diverse. So the forms of desire, there are different forms. These are variety of forms of desire. So it is not about who you are attracted to, but what kind of desire you feel. So it's not about who you are attracted to, but it is about what kind of desire you feel. Means what desire you have in your mind. So that is what is playing crucial role in gender sensitization society, gender equal society. It's not the attraction between men and women. It may be between two men or it may be between two women. So it is the type of desire that you have, that you possess. So normally, when people hear the word sex, they mean a sexual act between a man and a woman. So that is what is the normal assumption. But it's not true. So it may be between two men or it may be between two women. Okay, so it depends on the desire, what you have in your mind. So let's continue the discussion on diversity. This might be because this kind of sexual act is linked to reproduction and progeny, even though we know that sex is done only for reproduction but also for pleasure and desire. Okay, it is not done just for reproduction. Sex is done not just for reproduction but also for pleasure and desire. How will the world be if there was no diversity? Let's assume there was no diversity. Then how the world will exist? How the world will be? Imagine that today the government has issued an order that all women should wear yellow saris. All women should wear yellow saris. And all men should wear white shirt and black pants. So if there was no diversity, men as well as women has to wear the same kind of clothes and same kind of food. Everything should be the same. It is not so. There should be diversity. Diversity is different, injustice is different. Diversity should be there, but justice should be there. Equality should be there. Diversity should be there. Along with the diversity, equality should be there. So it is about diversity. So tell me, how would the world look if there was no diversity? So it will be very boring. So all are doing the same. It is like no diversity. So India is known for diversity, unity in diversity, right? So without diversity, there is nothing. Actually, it is important to understand that we should not be scared of diversity, but should accept it objectively. So this is the thing. It is important to understand that we should not be scared of diversity, but we should accept it objectively. Should accept it. Diversity is important. So since diversity is there in India, so we are famous for unity in diversity. So that is what is India known for, and that is what we should learn and understand from gender sensitization society. And let's discuss about the next content, that is pain and pleasure. What are the terms which come to your mind when you think about the word sexuality, love, desire? sexual pleasure, sexual orientation, shame, taboo. Taboo means one kind of prevention kind of thing. Pain, sexual violence, rape, hesitation, rules, norms, societal sanctions, etc. So these are the terms that will come to your mind when you think about the word sexuality. The word sexuality. What are the terms that you will think in your mind? Love, desire, sexual pleasure, sexual orientation, shame, taboo, pain, sexual violence, rape, hesitation, rules, norms, and societal sanctions, etc. From the above description, it is quite evident that sexuality has both positive as well as negative dimensions, or positive as well as negative aspects. However, the positive aspects or the positive dimensions, like for example, the instances of desire and pleasure are hardly talked about. Means the positive aspects of this sexuality are very hardly talked about. So what kind of aspects of sexuality are frequently talked about? Negative aspects. So what are the examples of negative aspects of sexuality? Sexuality is talked about in the context of pain and violence. So these are the negative aspects. Okay. So this is the general mindset, how people will take it into mind. So the conclusion is that one should always focus on the positive things, not on negative things. You have to observe the negative things and you should understand why the negative things are. So this is because of the mindset. Only because of the mindset, nothing else. So according to a describer about sex, whose name is Gail Rubin, what he told, for some people, sexuality may not be as serious as more critical problems of poverty, war, disease, racism, feminine, or nuclear annihilation. So Gail Rubin is saying that for some people, sexuality may not be serious, but in his view, sexuality is as serious as all these things. Sexuality is as serious as poverty, sexuality is as serious as war, sexuality is as serious as disease, sexuality is as serious as racism, sexuality is as serious as feminine, and sexuality is as serious as nuclear annihilation. So it is a serious issue. But for some people it is like fun. So it should not be like that. Everything should be seen with wisdom, with great thinking. So that is what we have to implement in your thoughts. And finally, we will discuss about the fluid and changeable nature. Like our food habits, sexuality is also fluid and can change. So food habits are fluid, but food taste is not fluid. Here we are discussing about food habits. Food habits are fluid, right? So your food habit may change from today to tomorrow, or from this month to next month. That is depending on how familiar or how interested you are in that food. For example, if you are continuously taking a single type of food for a month, you will obviously get bored of it and you will change your food habit. So that is what it is. Like our food habits, sexuality is also fluid and it can change. However, it might not be as changeable as food habits. So they are comparing that it might not be as changeable as food habits. Means sexuality is fluid, true, but it might not be as fluid as food habits. So that is what it means. Though not on a regular basis, But desires around sexuality, what I like, whom I like, can change sometimes during life. So not like food habits, sexuality and desires can also change, but not like food habits. They change very rarely, not as frequent as food habits. So like desires and sexuality, but not on a regular basis. So this is important. Not on a regular basis, but they change sometimes during life. So what change sometimes during life? Desires around sexuality means what I like, whom I like. These kind of things. So for example, your favorite hero may change, but after long time, right? Not very frequently. And whom you like. So means for example, if you are in a family or if you are in a class or if you are in a system, so you may like some person for certain period. Maybe after that he may change his ideology. Then you started hating him and you may like another person. So it is like that. But it is not as frequent as taste in food. It is not on a regular basis. So that is what we can give explanation on fluidity and changeable nature of sexuality. So the references that I followed are for gender studies, a book by Kadambari, and for gender sensitization, a book by Raja Lakshmi Kalyani. Thank you very much for your kind listening.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.